Croeso I Gymru. Welcome to Wales. And you don't know how difficult that was for an Englishman to say. And welcome to Cardiff. And welcome to the City Hall. I think it's a fantastic venue for our conference. My name's Tim Moss. I'm Chief Exec of Companies House and Registrar of Companies for England and Wales, and also President of CRF. And I'm absolutely delighted to welcome you all to the first CRF ECRF joint conference, and to Cardiff, the capital city of Wales. This is a historic city, and it can trace its origins back 6,000 years. And allegedly, it's the city with the most number of castles. Now, the Lord Mayor last night gave us a few more facts about Cardiff. One of the things he didn't mention was we also have the oldest record shop in the world here, founded in 1894. And as he mentioned last night, it's also the city where the first $1 million cheque was signed at the coal exchange. And for those of you who know, it's also the home of Doctor Who. And it's great to see so many of you here. We have from the east to the west, Samoa to Colombia, from the north to the south, Finland to South Africa, and from A to Z, Azerbaijan to Zambia. So whichever way you look at it, east, south, northwest, A to Z, we have a truly global conference. It's also great that we can welcome our friends from our sister registry organisations, from IACA and also from AZARAC. And also that we've got some great organisations that we work in partnership with. Lots of people here from the World Bank Group, the Asia Development Bank, European Commission, Untitled, and others. So this is a truly worldwide conference. So thank you for coming. Also, thank you to our sponsors this week, to Core Filing, Enterprise Registry Solutions, Foster Moore, Methods, and Salesforce. Thank you for helping us to make this happen. We have nearly 270 delegates from around 80 jurisdictions. This is the largest gathering of registries anywhere in the world. I'd like maybe for us just to pause and reflect on that for a second. Now, this isn't statistically relevant or valid, but I did a quick calculation the other day. 80 jurisdictions, and I couldn't find the data for all of them, but I reckon in this room, we are responsible for holding the records of around 80 million companies and businesses across the world. That's probably between half and 2/3 of the world's businesses. Now, if you convert that into GDP, and using a little bit on Wikipedia and Google to find out what the world's GDP is, it could be in excess of $40 trillion. That is a huge amount of the world's economy. It's supported by the people in this room. Business does not work without registries. We underpin vast amounts of the world's economy, and the work you have been doing to make it easier to set up a company and easier to access company information is supporting that global economy. Trade works because of us. What we do really matters. The information we hold is vital to do business. It's vital for doing good business. It's also vital for tackling bad business. Now, we've heard a lot recently about potentially bad business. The Panama Papers have put a spotlight on corporate transparency issues. Some of the negative side of things. But it's also meant that registries and what we do is much, much higher up the political agenda. Registries around the world play a fundamental role in doing business and in corporate transparency. The people who control companies and the ways in which they are made accountable are important issues being discussed at G8, G20, and beyond. Various agreements are being reached around sharing of data and increasing transparency, and we are at the centre of this. But I think with all the focus on transparency and clamping down on bad business and the shadier side of things, it's easy to forget that actually our primary role is in helping good business work. We have a fundamental role in helping business set up easily, make good business decisions, who to buy from, who to supply to, who to work in partnership with, and increasingly these decisions are across geographic boundaries. Trade is global, data and registries need to think globally. And as registries, we're only as good as the data we hold, and the value that we have is in making data easily accessible. I strongly believe that a registry's primary purpose is to make information available. That helps business work. If nobody looks at our data, the value is very little. It's why we exist. And I think the challenge from digital data, the challenge from big data, is how we make our data more accessible, more linkable, more interoperable. And the potential we have in this room is immense. The power to help businesses connect and ensure light is shown on companies and their activities across the world. Making it easier to do good business and harder to do bad business. Now we have a fantastic setting, and I hope it will be a fantastic conference. I'm incredibly proud of the team here for putting together the programme. It's great. I have to do very little. They've done an awful lot. And the programme this week will help us debate and discuss these issues. Over the next few days, we'll focus on running registries and registry transformation, both legislative and business. Making our data as good as it can be, looking at compliance, enforcement, accuracy and quality, and making our data accessible. But the real value of this conference is in the sharing and learning from each other. Whether that's from a big presentation, whether it's from the plenary groups, or whether it's from the discussions that you've been having already and will continue to have during the week. This is the biggest gathering of registries, and so provides the best opportunity for sharing and learning from each other. I know I speak on behalf of the CRF committee and the ECRF committee. We want this registry family to continue to grow, develop its usefulness as an international community, so that we can learn from each other, whether that's individual registries and helping them to develop, or develop cooperation across geographic boundaries, as we tackle the important issues of corporate transparency, beneficial ownership, reducing burdens, digital transformation, register integrity, and access to data, just to name a few of the big issues that we're dealing with. But ultimately, it's about how we make it easier to do good business. As part of that this week, we'll learn from the International Business Registries Report, a goldmine of registry information collected from right the way across the world. And we'll hear from a wide range of registries dealing with a number of these issues. But I think the conference is so much more. It's about bringing this global registry community closer together, building stronger ties right the way across the globe, and we can learn from each other. So in the next few days, we will, and we've been doing it already, renew old friendships. We shall make some new ones. We shall share information and learn from each other. My challenge to you is to meet new people every day. There's got to be, within 270 people, there's got to be some people you don't know. Even you, Justin. And find out some new facts about registries. Last year in Abu Dhabi, my challenge to you all was 3 things. It was to meet, share, and learn. Meet as many people as you can, share your experiences, and learn from each other. This year, I'm going to add another 2. Don't forget the slide. One is to tell other people. So tweet, post on Facebook, discuss, share, blog, whatever you want to do. But let's tell the world about what we're doing, because I think what we do is really important and it's fantastic. And the final thing, to add to my meet, share, learn, and tell, is what you've been doing already, judging from last night, is have fun. So at that note, I would like to declare the conference officially open. Now, this is a joint conference between CRF and ECRF, and it is my great pleasure to invite up on stage Annika Bränström from Sweden, the president of ECRF, known to us in Europe as the Queen of Registries, and to say a few words. Thank you, Annika.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tim, for giving me this opportunity to also give all of you, and of course especially, I would say, our ECRF members, a very warm welcome to this joint conference together with all of you in CRF. And this is kind of an experiment also for us to see if this will be as successful as we really think it will be. I would like to take the opportunity first of all to say a very, very warm thank you to Tamara Hillman and all her team. Is Tam in the room? No, she's working. There is Tam. Thank you very much. It's always a challenge to have a conference, to organize a conference, and I'm pretty sure that this year having this joint conference was even more a bigger challenge. Not only to organize one conference, also to try to get us to work together and agree on this conference. But I think we've been quite good so far. Yesterday, for all of you that were at the reception, we were able to listen to a very great choir. And guess that I was really proud when they started. Do you know what they sang? The anthem. And that is a very Swedish song, written by Björn Ulvaeus and Benny Andersson, two of the most famous Swedes, I would say, from ABBA. And that song is taken from chess. Some of you might have seen it. And it struck me at that time that chess is really something that will apply also for us in business registration. If you look at Wikipedia, how they will explain chess. Chess strategy consists of setting and achieving long-term positioning advantages during the game, while tactics concentrate on immediate maneuver. These two parts of the chess playing process cannot be completely separated because strategical goals are mostly achieved through tactics, while the tactical opportunities are based on the previous strategy of play. So what on earth has this to do with business registration? I think from my perspective that we really need to have a very long-term perspective, which is a challenge today when we see that things are happening quicker and quicker, and also maybe the expectations on us. We have a lot of buzzwords. You already mentioned quite a few of them, I would say. That's digitization, globalization, connecting the world. We also have the once only principle and digital first, which is very much into Europe at the moment. I think all of you share that. There are one-stop shops, sharing, meeting, learning, collaboration, accuracy, availability, networking, and on and on. But still, our primarily goal is, and I'm back to the chess thing, we need to have a long-term strategy and a long-term plan for what we are doing because we are very important for the businesses. And the businesses, the environment of the businesses are changing, and it changes very quickly. And it's up to us to see if we can, in a way, work together with them. But we also have to be very much here and now and do short-term things. And more of these words are coming from the private sector, time to market. We should share, we should do this in collaboration. So I think that we need to have both this perspective from a helicopter, seeing all this global perspective and long-term perspective. But we also have to be microscopic, doing things here and now. And I just want to say and agree with Tim, take this opportunity to share, learn, meet, borrow, steal, whatever you want, but take this opportunity to really bring something back home to your registries. And I would like you very much to hopefully have this in mind during these days. And I borrowed this word from Henry Ford. Coming together is the beginning, keeping together is progress, and staying together is a success. Thank you.
Thank you, Annika. Now, both CRF and ECRF have worked very closely with the World Bank Group over a number of years. And I'm delighted that they're joining us en masse this year for our conference. Lots of them have come here. And I think the World Bank Group has done so much to help registries across the world and promote cooperation between registries. Yeah, from their Doing Business report to the work they're doing with individual registries across the world. There's no doubt they've done so much to help registry transformation and legal transformation right the way across the world. I'm very grateful to the World Bank for their support and really pleased to welcome Christine Chang from the World Bank to come and talk to us. Thank you, Christine.
Good morning and warm welcome to all the participants from so many jurisdictions. I'm very happy to be here and many thanks to CRF and ECRF, especially to Tim and Annika for inviting us. I'm actually here with a big World Bank Group delegation from Washington, DC, and our project teams actually from several countries with our government counterparts. And we had, as Tim mentioned, long-standing partnership with both CRF and ECRF for many years. And this year, we are renewing our also partnership, expanding it, and soon we'll be signing a MOU together. And today, I just want to take the opportunity to give a very brief overview of the World Bank Group, what we do in the area of investment climate, and with particular emphasis on business entry. And for investment climate, we are under the Trade and Competitiveness Global Practice of the World Bank Group. And our mandate is to improve investment competitiveness for business-led growth. As you can see, Tim also mentioned, you're familiar with the doing business indicators, but they are just one part of our global benchmarking. We actually use a lot of other firm-level data to basically support our counterpart governments informed and support their investment climate-related reforms. As you can imagine, our work really centers around businesses, and we have different channels to communicate and engage with private sector companies and to hear their feedback so that their feedback will be incorporated when we support government in policies, regulations, and institutions set up. And the goal is not just to reduce transaction costs, to reduce compliance costs per se, but to also help businesses to access market opportunities, to improve their competitiveness, to attract investment, and eventually to connect to global value chains. And we actually work with businesses along, we call it investment and business cycle. So we start with promotion of private investment and local entrepreneurship concept. And then we go through business entry and business operations. And for businesses that can survive, hopefully we can help them with the investment retention, help them with expansion of businesses. And for foreign investors, also linkages to local businesses. But some businesses, unfortunately, do not survive. And so for business exit and also debt resolution, we support companies as well. And this is a cycle, and one of my colleagues like to use the analogy of like a relationship. It's like a marriage. So you kind of start courting businesses, and then you get engaged, and eventually, the marriage takes place. And as you all know, marriage takes hard work. It's a long-term relationship. It doesn't end just at business entry. It actually needs a lot of maintenance and good care. And then eventually you have offspring and you have linkages, and then you have success. But I think the key point, the bottom line here is that it is a relationship. It's a long-term relationship, and both governments and businesses need to invest a lot to maintain the relationship is a success. And this is kind of an internal structure, but within the investment climate, we actually have different business lines. So we work on investment policies, we work on business environment, including doing business support. And we're currently active in about 90 countries. And for business entry reforms, we are active in over 30 countries with 40 projects. And this is the, the starting a business indicator within the doing business scope. And we looked at the data from the past 12 years. As you can see from this chart, actually starting a business has the average year-on-year improvement in distance to the frontiers. It's the highest among all the 10 indicators. And according to the data, also for this particular indicator, we have the largest number of countries that actually have had reforms in the past decade. And this is the top 10 countries according to the Doing Business 2016 for the same indicator. So these are the usual suspects: New Zealand, Macedonia, Canada, Hong Kong, Armenia, Georgia, Azerbaijan, Lithuania, Jamaica, and Singapore. As you can see that actually many of them are probably present this week. As Tim and Annika mentioned, I think one of the goals for this week is indeed to hear from the countries that are doing very well and exchange information and exchange experiences among ourselves. So why business entry matters? As we all know, it's really more than just lowering transaction cost. It's about transparency, accountability, and also the quality of data really matters because it not only gives the government the tools to produce business statistics and design policies based on evidence, it also gives market participants, many companies that are looking for suppliers, many companies that are looking for market opportunities and access to global value chains. Such data is actually critical for business to be successful. Here's just a list of main building blocks, how a sustainable business entry regime looks like. I'm not going to go through all the details, but institutional framework, as I mentioned, quality of business data, transparency and public access, and exchange of data also among key stakeholder agencies is critical so that the data is interoperable and the data is consistent within different agencies. And of course, many countries also need to have national coverage, not only just business registries in the capital cities. And as I mentioned earlier, it's a long-term relationship. So, it's not just one-time business registry. We also need to update the data over the cycle of the businesses. Just a few examples, here are examples where countries like Azerbaijan, Macedonia, and also Colombia actually use the, one-stop shops and also business registry reforms in general to reduce transaction costs. And we also have a case in Serbia where we use the data for over 10 years to actually track business entry reforms. We basically map the administrative data with enterprise surveys that the World Bank Group conducts regularly, just to see the kind of life cycle of the businesses over the 10 years period, and also map them to the key reforms in 2004, in 2009, and 2011 to see how these reforms actually affect the businesses in different sectors, businesses of different sizes, and how they actually grow, which ones grow faster, and also which ones actually create jobs. Just to give an example, in Serbia, in this particular case, 99% of the companies are actually very small, and many of them only have 2 to 5 employees. And these are the companies that create about 1/3 of the jobs. And companies in, for instance, wholesale and manufacturing, they start consistently larger than companies in other sectors. And most jobs are created in transportation, manufacturing, and services. And you can also see from this particular chart is that after the 2004 reform and the business registries, the number really increased substantially. But in around 2009, when the financial crisis hits and the businesses really dropped. So all this data is to say that it's so important that the government actually observes the trends in the businesses, entry and exit and operations, so that they can also work on other policies to support businesses through the cycle. So just a few lessons and key trends I want to share with you. I mean, one thing is business entry is very important reform. But what we are seeing around the globe is that, that particular reform alone is not sufficient. So we are shifting the focus from reducing procedures to combining business entry reform with other reforms to increase the impact. I want to give you an example from Benin, an experiment that we conducted recently with 3,000 businesses. We basically have a control group where we only have the business entry reform, and we have 3 other experiment, we call them treatment groups, where we combine the business entry with other reforms. For instance, in the first treatment reform group, we combine business entry with other business support services, including access to bank and also business planning services. In a second treatment group, we added another service. Is basically we have the tax authority, because in the country of Benin, when you register for businesses, you actually do not have to register for tax. So the reality is that many companies, they actually do not register because the tax obligations. So we added a service to the businesses just in case that after they register, the tax inspectors would come and harass them. We actually provide a service for mediation. So when we look at the different treatment groups with the control group, with business entry reform only, the registry rate was about 1%. As you know, in many of our African countries, actually the informal sector can be as large as 90%. So the 1% registry rate was actually quite expected. But when we added other business services, and especially the tax protection, mediation services, then the business entry, the formality actually increased to 16%. So this is just one example that we're showing that by combining business entry reform with other policies and regulations, we could improve the impact on formality, on job creation, and hopefully we are also targeting the high growth businesses that are more likely to survive. And the second trend I want to mention is, Annika mentioned, a lot of buzzwords, and certainly this one-stop shop is one of them. And what we are seeing around the world is that many countries use that same term, one-stop shop, but they really define it very differently. And in some places that we are actually creating one more stop shop, meaning that the paperwork continues, and then you put all the agencies under one roof, but the procedures are the same, and then you have parallel paperwork, alongside with automation. It really doesn't help anybody. So these are examples that we certainly want to avoid. And the last thing on quality of data, I think we have emphasized, enough how important it is. And to the World Bank Group, this evidence-based policy making is critical to basically analyze the data, to look at the trend, to combine the registry data with other surveys and with other reform trends to actually make sense out of it. And this is something that, through our MOU with CRF and ECRF, we certainly want to expand the partnership in the access to data area. So this is my presentation. I just want to thank the organizers again for having us here. And Tim mentioned, we were chatting yesterday also, this room really represents a large proportion of the businesses. And for the World Bank Group, we think there's such a huge potential that we can work together to do something that can make difference for development. So I'm so happy to be here this week with my colleagues, and I really look forward to talking to many of you throughout the week, and also build partnership with individual jurisdictions and see how the bank group can support you in your efforts and endeavors in this very important area. And many thanks to all of you.